We're talking about winter making a strong return across the United States as we head into February. Signs of winter will continue strengthening as we move deeper into the month, bringing more snow, ice, and very cold air. We'll break down everything you need to know in this forecast, so be sure to subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new, so you can stay updated with all my detailed and accurate weather breakdowns. Also, don't forget to like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share it with friends, family, and on social media. I really appreciate it. Record-breaking heat. Today, let's start by looking at the record-breaking heat we saw today across Texas and the eastern U.S. Temperatures were well above normal, while the coldest air remained locked up north across Montana, the Dakotas, and Minnesota, with even colder air up in southwestern Canada. Looking at today's high temperatures in the west, we saw a lot of 70s and 80s, especially in the desert southwest, Southern California, and Arizona, as shown by these orange and red shades on the map. Tonight's forecast and cold temperatures heading into tonight and early tomorrow morning. Temperatures will cool off, but the desert southwest will still see 50s and 60s. The coldest areas will be in Montana, where temperatures will drop below zero, with wind chills reaching 20 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. If you live in Montana, be sure to bundle up in layers if you're heading outdoors early Tuesday morning. Extreme temperature contrast in the central U.S. Across the central U.S., we had record-breaking heat in Texas, with some areas nearing 90 degrees Fahrenheit this afternoon. However, notice the sharp temperature gradient. In southern Kansas, temperatures reached the 80s, while in northern Kansas, they struggled to hit the 30s. Further north, temperatures in the Dakotas and northern Minnesota were hovering around zero or in the single digits. By Tuesday morning, some areas will remain in the single digits below zero, with the cold air spreading into South Dakota, southern Minnesota, and north central Wisconsin. Meanwhile, the areas that saw near 90-degree heat today will start tomorrow in the 40s, a stark contrast from this morning. Warm temperatures in the east. It was very warm across the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic, with temperatures in the 50s and 60s and even 70s and 80s in Florida. In Maine, we've seen a brief warm-up with temperatures in the 20s, which is mild compared to the bitter cold from earlier this winter. By tomorrow morning, expect lows in the single digits and teens in Maine, while the Southeast and Ohio Valley will see lows in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. The temperature gradient remains strong. Northern parts of the Ohio Valley will be in the 20s, while the southern parts will start the day in the low to mid-30s. Looking. Hednasur on a fair warmth continues until Super Bowl weekend. As we move through the week ahead, mild air will stick around in the south and southeast. By Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll see another push of warm air due to southwest flow aloft, which will precede upcoming storm systems. This pattern will continue all the way through Super Bowl weekend, with warm temperatures persisting. However, by Super Bowl Sunday, a cold front will move in, finally pushing the warm air mass farther southeast. Storms and rain in the west. Pineapple Express. Meanwhile, in the west, the Pineapple Express is bringing significant travel disruptions, especially in higher elevations due to heavy snow. In Northern California, there's concern for flooding and hydrological issues due to excessive rainfall. This system will continue tonight through Tuesday, and by midweek Wednesday, the heaviest precipitation will shift southward into central and southern California, including the Los Angeles area. For regions affected by wildfires and recent dry conditions, this moisture is much needed. However, how much rain will fall remains uncertain. By Thursday, another storm will follow closely behind, bringing more heavy snow to the Sierras and additional rainfall to Southern California, including Los Angeles and San Diego. Heading into Super Bowl weekend, high pressure should build in, bringing drier conditions and shutting off the moisture supply. Rainfall totals and flooding concerns. Northern California is expected to bear the brunt of the heavy rainfall, with 6 to 12 inches of additional precipitation possible on top of what has already fallen. Southern California, including Los Angeles, will also see rain, though exact amounts remain uncertain. This is great news for areas that have been dry for so long. Looking at the watershed out west, the Sierra is expected to see heavy snowfall, potentially accumulating 70 to 80 inches through Sunday, February 9th. Some of that heavy snow will reach areas like Oregon, Idaho, Montana, western Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, and Colorado. Many of these regions will see significant snowfall. Further west, what about the central and eastern U.S.? This evening, we have a bit of snow across interior parts of New England, including upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. However, this snowfall isn't unusual for this time of year. Looking ahead to the middle of the week, another storm system is developing, and this one is worth watching, particularly for its potential to bring ice to northern Missouri as early as Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, the ice threat, freezing rain and sleet, will move north into Iowa, northern Illinois, and northern Indiana. Further north, deeper cold air will support snowfall in Minnesota and Wisconsin, while further south, deeper warm air could lead to thunderstorms and even severe weather into Thursday. A high pressure system preceding this storm is pulling in warmer air on its eastern side, while the western side is bringing in cooler air. This setup could lead to a more widespread freezing rain event, with sleet mixing in across southern New York, Pennsylvania, especially in eastern Pennsylvania and the Poconos, and into Maryland. This will be something to watch through Thursday. By Friday, another system will develop across the plains, potentially following a similar track. More snow is likely to the north, freezing rain near the low-pressure track, and rain with the possibility of severe weather further south. This setup could impact Super Bowl Sunday, again with a similar pattern. The combined moisture from these two systems, midweek and into the weekend, could bring heavy rainfall, especially across Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, and Tennessee. Rainfall totals of 1 to 3 inches could cause isolated flash flooding, but the snow line will remain well to the north. The deep, cold air will likely stay locked up in the north through at least the first 10 days of February. A solid stripe of 3 to 6 plus inches of snow is expected across the northern plains and upper Midwest, including the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern lower Michigan, as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan. Heavier snow accumulations will likely hit upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Maine, along with southeastern Canada. An ice threat is developing beneath the low-pressure track, particularly in the Midwest and Ohio Valley. This could extend as far north as central Michigan and central Wisconsin. A more widespread ice setup is expected mid to late week, especially across eastern Pennsylvania, which appears to be the bullseye for the heaviest ice accretion. Some areas could see over a quarter inch of ice, making this a situation to closely monitor. Beyond this, heading into the second week of February, much colder air is expected. The stratospheric polar vortex is showing signs of disruption or splitting. When this happens, it usually takes 1 to 2 weeks for the cold air to descend into the lower atmosphere, but a significant Arctic air spill is expected in at least the northern U.S. The magnitude and intensity of this cold air will determine how far south it reaches. If temperatures drop to extreme levels, such as wind chills in the negative 50s in the northern U.S., Texas could experience much colder conditions as well. This is something to keep an eye on. As we move into next week, we will be watching for multiple storm systems developing along buckles in the jet stream between February 10th and February 16th. Each buckle represents a potential winter storm impacting the central and eastern U.S. By Monday, February 10th, the European model shows a relatively quiet setup, but a storm is expected to develop soon after. This could be a significant snow system before Valentine's Day, around February 12th to 13th. By February 14th, this system exits, but another storm quickly follows, keeping the snow train moving eastward. The European model predicts heavy snow, particularly in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, including the Pop-Hour 95 corridor. This could be a great setup for major snow events in mid to late February. The Midwest and Central Plains, including Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri, may see lighter snow amounts, but still a few inches. The GFS American model at 12Z shows a similar scenario, but suggests a bit more precipitation in the southeast at the onset. It also depicts a potential overrunning snow setup during the week, leading to heavy snow in the northeast, followed by another winter storm right behind it. The GFS model is more aggressive with snowfall amounts for the I-95 corridor, including Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. So this is something to watch as we get closer. Since we're still about a week out, the models are still refining their solutions for mid to late February. As we move into the third week of February, the stratospheric polar vortex could play a larger role in bringing colder air, which may push the ridge of warm air south toward the Gulf Coast and Florida. Areas that have been warm, such as the Rio Grande Valley, Arizona, New Mexico, and Florida, could continue experiencing mild conditions between February 15th and February 22nd. Snow is also expected to continue beyond this period. Some projections suggest snow as far south as Texas, though it's uncertain how far south the snow line will extend. However, much colder air will push deeper into the central and eastern U.S., bringing better snow chances for Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, and possibly even North Carolina later in February. We will continue tracking all aspects of this winter weather, including snow, ice, severe storms, and the polar vortex. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and stay updated with my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns. If you found this forecast helpful, please like the video and share it with friends, family, and on social media. Stay updated as this stormy pattern develops. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for my next update. I'll keep you protected before and after the storm.